Number 9. Sega Saturn. Released in 1995, the Sega Corporation had high hopes for the Sega Saturn, like they did just a few years earlier with the Sega Genesis. Unfortunately, it would not be the case, because of a few minor marketing flaws they had.
Introducing Sega Saturn.
Aww.
Hit it.
For starters, the bastard cost $400 at release date. $400. Gooch, back in 1995, what would you have bought for 400 bucks?
You could buy anything you damn well please, except you couldn't get a fucking 3DO for $400, so I don't know what people were bitching about. Also, I disagree with how people say it lacked any killer launch titles. I mean, I remember great launch titles like... And... DB, what do you remember?
Absolutely. I remember such great launch titles as Sonic the Hedgehog and Altered Beast, two kick-ass rockin' games.
You're so right. Those two games really did kick ass. They kicked ass back on a goddamn Sega Genesis. Really, what the hell are you thinking? There were no killer launch titles on the Saturn.
The movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a huge blockbuster for its day, and if you're a fan of Roger Rabbit, chances are you might be interested in seeing it sometime. It had Roger Rabbit, Baby Pee-wee Herman, and Jessica Rabbit. Whoa, alright! Now, I'm not exactly sure what a shit-eating grin looks like, but I'm pretty sure this is it. God, I'm funny. We all loved the movie, so we were dying to get a hold of the video game. Nintendo and Roger Rabbit. It should have been like bread and butter. But too bad it was like burnt toast and breakfast cereal. So is it really that bad? Well, to be quite honest, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But regardless, I'm going to dust off the old Nintendo so I can show you how bad this game really is. Basically, you start off controlling some random guy instead of Roger Rabbit. Come on, I want to play as Roger Rabbit, damn it! Who the fuck is this guy anyway? Remember him from the movie? I sure don't. And why is he all dressed up? I don't remember there being a dress code for video games. Well, speaking of which, I think I'm going to start wearing button-down shirts for my reviews soon. Just to, you know, kind of distinguish myself from the other well-known game reviewers.
The Ocarina of Time. What can you say about it that hasn't already been said? It is the father of modern 3D adventure games, the innovator of numerous gameplay mechanics, the game of the 20th century. I chose to make my 9th Remember That Game video all about Ocarina of Time, because I was 9 years old when I first played it. Actually, that's not entirely true. I was about 6 or 7 at the time, but let's pretend that I was 9. And not that I'm running out of video ideas. Ocarina of Time tells the tale of a young boy in the forest, a misfit, a loner, someone that we can all relate to at one point in our lives. But one day he's given a responsibility to save the guardian spirit of the forest, the great Deku Tree. After a suicide attempt and one giant spider carcass later, the young boy soon realizes that his adventure has only started. Ocarina of Time gave us our very first glimpse of what Zelda would look like in 3D, and goddamn did it ever look good. The air in Death Mountain would vibrate due to the intense heat. We could see deep into the water that was Lake Hylia, and the forest would glimmer in the sunlight.
Right away you find out who a really big asshole is. You, Mr. Wall Street Kid, Mr. Protagonist, Mr. Good Guy, Mr. Star of the fucking game. Larry the lawyer's telling you that your uncle just died, and you're smiling like you just dug up a hole for him and already shoved in his fucking body without the casket. Well, it only takes about 5 seconds to find out why your dick grew 3 sizes that day. Yeah, you're about to inherit $600 billion in assets, but since your uncle knew what a dickwad you were, he's gonna make you earn it. Okay, son, here's $500,000. Now go buy $1 million house, a $700,000 yacht, and a multi-million-dollar castle in 4 months with that $500K, and you can have it all, jerk. Oh yeah, and stay in shape and keep that trophy thing they call your fiance or wife or whatever she is happy, or you'll lose it all. In all honesty, the purpose of this game is to make you a bigger asshole. The fucking ending says it all. You're holding a big bag of cash while standing on more big bags of cash and having everyone underneath you praising you. I'm surprised it didn't just go all out and show you pissing on a homeless person and giving them $100 bills you just wiped your ass with.
Okay, so you can see the green kind of display you got here with the original Game Boy. We'll set that aside right here. Okay, now we have, next, the Game Boy Pocket, a much slimmer version of the Game Boy. In fact, only takes 2 AAA batteries as compared to 4 AA's. Of course, plays the same games. One major difference, though, this power switch is screwy. The screen is actually a tiny bit bigger, and it did away with the pea soup display, which is a nice thing.
I don't want to overemphasize the difference between the PC and the GBA versions, but I feel like if you can't do it right on a handheld, then just don't do it. With that in mind, let's lower our expectations and assume that all this stuff simply couldn't fit into a GBA cart. We start the game and 2 things are apparent. 1, the graphics have been severely brought down in resolution, and 2, the game controls differently. So let's take a look at the graphics first. Here's a comparison of the first screen of the game, first from the PC, and now from the GBA. Now let's look at the cafe in the beginning of the game, first on the GBA, and now on the PC. The difference is pretty clear. The GBA graphics range from functional to bad depending on how busy the scene was to begin with. If a room had a lot of stuff in it, then it probably doesn't look so good. Now let's get back to the control difference. The original PC version was a point-and-click adventure game where you controlled the cursor. In the GBA game, you control the character George directly. I actually think this is really good because moving the cursor with the D-pad could have been a nightmare. Instead, it's easy to use and makes the conversation trees easy to navigate. So with the graphics severely cut back and the voices completely removed, can this game really be any fun? Well, it kinda depends on your expectations. If you've never played the game before, then it might just seem like a decent adventure game with some pretty good graphics for the GBA.
So like Crazy Racers, this is another launch title on the Game Boy Advance, and it's really good actually. I mean, the graphics were pretty good for the time, and the controls just feels really fluent, and overall good gameplay. Now how it works for each level. Basically, the first level is called the Hangar, and with each level, there's 10 level goals you need to get. Basically, different things you can do in the level to get money, like high scores, collecting items, whatever. And when you get a certain amount of money, you advance to the next level, and pretty much the thing repeats. And with money, what you can do is you can spend it to upgrade your stats, and you can buy better skateboards.
We News and Reviews. Hi, I'm Patrick Kessler.
And I'm Joseph McCulty.
And welcome to We News and Reviews for March 30th, 2008.
We have a jubilee of stories for you today.
We're going to talk about the re-release of GoldenEye 64.
Commodore 64 on the Virtual Console in the United Kingdom.
And Top Spin 3.
Are you a fan of Guitar Hero 3? Then you'll more than likely enjoy Rock Band, which hits American shelves June 22nd, 2008 for Wii, for the low price of $169.99.
Do you remember playing one of the greatest FPSs of all time, GoldenEye 64 on the Nintendo 64? Well, the Xbox Live Marketplace is trying to bring this to the Xbox Live Arcade, but Nintendo is preventing them from doing so. A Microsoft entity, Rare, the original publisher of the game, stated, quote, "We share the rights with Nintendo on the title, and they are the ones who have prevented it from happening." Now, we here at We News and Reviews would either like to see it on the Xbox Live Arcade or the Virtual Console, or more preferably, both. But we want you to tell Nintendo what you think. You can either call or email them. Call them at